The original A Nightmare on Elm Street movie is possibly one of the most defining pieces of media within my life. It has defined me both as a fan of horror as well as a fan of movies in general. I feel like for as long as I could remember that Freddy Krueger has been something that I've been well aware of. In elementary school, I would hear kids talk about the horror movies that they went to go sneak off to watch behind their parents' back. These tended to usually be horror icon movies, and the names I'd usually tend to hear would be either Michael Myers, Chucky, or Freddy Krueger. They would try to talk to me about these movies, but I was 7 years old and very gullible, so all it did was make me scared. But I really just did not fuck with the idea of horror movies. I liked horror kids content like Courage the Cowardly Dog and Goosebumps when it didn't have fucking Slappy the Doll on it. Even though I was deathly horrified of horror movies, especially horror icons, I couldn't help but realize how unique and cool it was that compared to all the other icons that are just straightforward killers, and some of them don't die or whatever. Disclaimer for that statement, that was me explaining how I viewed horror villains as a child. That is not how I view them now. Don't yell at me. Thank you. Whereas Freddy is this dream entity, and although that made me probably a little bit more scared of him in that aspect, I always thought that was really cool, and noticed that everyone else kind of looked at the character Freddy Krueger in a much different light than they would look at a Michael Myers, than they would look at a Jason Voorhees. Freddy Krueger, looking back, really was a pop culture icon. I mean, he has songs made after him. Houdini, the Fat Boys, and DJ Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, aka Will Smith, all have songs about him. Tubi just recently added the Freddy's Nightmares show to their app, and when that news came out, it was genuinely the only thing that I was seeing on my timeline. But people heavily gravitate towards Freddy Krueger simply for the fact that in comparison to the other popular, more stoic and silent killers, he has a lot of personality. But this was something that was very unique for the time. The character, the plot, just the look of these movies alone. And one of those people who were very big on those movies as they were coming out during the time was my mom, and she's actually the reason why I even watched the first Nightmare on Elm Street. I watched it when I was about 10 years old, and I fucking loved it, and it is still one of my favorite movies to this day. Afterwards, I watched part 2 and part 3, and I enjoyed them. I feel that despite how much I do love the first one, and how much I do enjoy the second and third, I was kind of turned off on really seeing any of the others because of the reputation that they have. Although I can't lie, from what I've seen and from what they described, it sounded like something I'd want to see. I love stupid shit. So I decided that me and my adoring mother, who I also watch these movies with, we're gonna take a journey, and we were gonna watch every single thing that Freddy Krueger is in. We're gonna watch all the Nightmare on Elm Streets. We're gonna watch Wes Craven's New Nightmare. We're gonna watch fucking Freddy vs. Jason. And then we're gonna watch... Fuck. Before I started recording for this video, I don't think I've ever consumed as much Freddy Krueger content as I have. I watched the Never Sleep Again documentary for the first Nightmare on Elm Street, which is the making of A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's on the Blu-ray that I have. This should have been impossible to make. The budget for this was only around $1 million, and they struggled to even get the funding from that. One of the production managers had to pay crew members out of his pocket with his own credit cards. No other studio was willing to make this other than New Line Cinema, and this movie is actually really what kicked off that company to begin with. This purely exists because Wes Craven had a really strong vision and a crew with him who believed in that vision that were fighting hard in order to get this made. The fact that this is this franchise's like start, and now I'm able to get this fucking shirt from DD's, or I don't know what this is from, is insane to me. I believe this is one of my favorite looking movies of all time in terms of special effects, and the fact that they were able to do it for so cheap and so seamlessly. For Tina's death scene, the first death in the movie, they made their own rotating room to do it in. I think everyone was a little bit concerned for the safety of how that was even going to be able to work. One of my favorite shots in anything ever was achieved by just someone pressing their face up against spandex. For the iconic bathtub scene, they had a dude underneath Heather Langenkamp in the actual bath just reaching out with a sharp Freddy glove. And then the other part of that scene is shot in a pool where they wrapped it around in black plastic sheeting. It looks like this dark, never-ending abyss of water, and the fact that it was done through something so simple. I feel like experiencing Freddy in a dream would just be nauseating by looking at him. He's so deeply burnt to the point where like the top layer of his skin is like wet. I feel like the only time where it becomes a little bit obvious is because of the ending. Because it was their last day, and that was the last thing they could shoot, and I think that was their one take. It's better than nothing. I laugh at it. I feel like people are sometimes born to play certain roles, and Robert Englund was 100% born to be Freddy Krueger. He's going to be getting a star on the Walk of Fame in Hollywood soon, and he 100% deserves it. The amount of care and love and effort that you can tell that he's put in this character, not only in just this movie, but throughout the whole franchise. There's never been an actor that I've seen be as in love with the character that they're playing than Robert Englund with Freddy Krueger. Almost every scene with Freddy Krueger is watching him play with his food before he devours it, and it's very evil yet endearing. People love to be scared by Freddy, and people also really love the humorous aspect of it, and I believe that it's a perfect mix within this. Nancy is also probably one of my favorite final girls within any horror movie ever. I love the Home Alone-esque fight that she has with Freddy in this. It is genuinely like one of the most exciting scenes that I've ever seen in any horror movie. One of my favorite chase scenes in any horror movie. I also want to give a shout out to Nancy's mom for being the best fucking alcoholic of all time. I went to go recently see this in theaters, and I'm glad everyone agrees with me that she is the funniest fucking character in this. She pulls bottles out of whatever the fuck, says some of the most insulting shit to Nancy.
Nancy said they'd had a fight.
It wasn't that serious.
Maybe you don't think murder is serious.
How can you say I don't take her death seriously?
She is fucking, love her. Love her. I also love how her behavior throughout, even for Nancy's dad as well, kind of hints at their possible involvement with killing Freddy Krueger. You can tell that they're trying to suppress something from being known, and when that reveal officially happens, it is genuinely so satisfying. A Nightmare on Elm Street is a perfect horror movie, even with the fucking, like, I know that this movie to me in every aspect is genuinely like 10 out of 10. I absolutely adore this, and it's one of my favorite movies ever. This is one of my first introductions to horror, and I believe if my mom hadn't shown me this, I don't think I would be the same person that I am today. Part 2 has always been one of the more interesting sequels to any franchise to me. I feel like it's kind of the black sheep. In comparison to literally everything else that has come out after this, it just feels so disconnected. This one isn't even really about dreams, which is kind of the whole point of Freddy Krueger to begin with. It's more of a possession movie, and Freddy Krueger trying to use the main character, Jesse, as a vessel in order to escape out into the real world. When watching series like this, I feel like you should definitely keep in mind that the main reason why they have sequels to begin with is because the last one made a lot of money. These are not exactly well thought out, like, at all. And for certain series, kind of takes some time to find identity. Friday the 13th, although I do enjoy the first 3 movies, I believe it had to take 4 in order to find their identity and what they were gonna be, and then they lost it, and then they gained it again, and then They lost it some more. Another more recent example would be the Terrifier movies. The first one to me is lame as fuck, and then the second one's alright. But then you get to that third one, and it feels like what I imagine they've been trying to achieve since the start of the series. And then there are other series where the first one is an absolute perfect film, where the first one defines a genre, and then the second one is just alright, and then the third one is creative, but people don't like it because it's not like the other two. And then the rest are a bunch of fucking bullshit until you get to a remake that's just fine, which leads to more fucking bullshit. In other words, while this does not make sense to what was established in the original movie, it was probably the best idea they had. When I originally saw this as a kid, I thought it was so funny how homoerotic this was, and wondering if anyone on the crew even noticed, and apparently they fucking didn't. They literally go to a leather bar, and there's like a lot of like butt stuff with dudes. There's this.
Something is trying to get inside my body.
Yeah, and she's female, and she's waiting for you in the cabana. And you want to sleep with me.
The homoerotic nature for this movie has made it a cult classic for quite some time, but now with added context of knowing that Mark Patton, the lead actor in this, was actually gay. The writer has also come out now and said that the homoeroticism was definitely intentional, that there's a lot of subtext in this movie that was inspired by the rise of gay panic at the time, as well as the fear of coming out during that time, and to be honest, the fear of still coming out now. I've already kind of enjoyed this movie as is, but rewatching it with that context now definitely makes it more fascinating. The choice of choosing a final guy as opposed to a final girl, the fact that Freddy is definitely way more sinister in this in comparison to all the other films. I feel like most times you see Freddy in this, he's trying to seduce Jesse into letting him use his body in order to come back out in the real world and kill, which builds up to this amazing pool party scene.
I'm here to help you. Help yourself, fucker!
Kind of doesn't make sense when you compare it to the fight that he has in the previous movie, but my god, this is so fun. The biggest problem that I do have with it, though, is the fact that it is a Nightmare on Elm Street sequel. If this was separated from the Nightmare on Elm Street series, I genuinely believe that there is so much more that could have been done with this concept. The idea of Freddy Krueger being an entity that's able to enter your dreams and kill you is kind of what makes him special, and they don't really show that in this. I also like how the rest of the movies focus on how Freddy affects everyone else involved outside of the main character, whereas in this you kind of just mainly focus on Jesse. I need to fix up that statement. He's the main character, so he's supposed to be the main focus, but throughout all the Nightmare on Elm Street movies, you see Freddy bounce around between characters and see how different he interacts with each character, how he's able to use aspects of themselves within their dreams before he kills them. But because this isn't a dream movie, you only really focus on Jesse, and it makes Freddy strip down a bit. When Freddy starts interacting with Jesse's girlfriend, sure, it's one of the most exciting parts of the movie to me. It's just a shame that, like, when it gets to her part at the end, it's just kind of bleh. She's built up to know why she's important to the story and why she's important to Jesse, but I really don't see why she has the final moments in this. Overall, I think this is a pretty solid movie and one of the more interesting entries into any horror franchise ever. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 Dream Warriors was something that I quite enjoyed when I first watched it. However, it's been a minute, so I went into this kind of remembering what it was, but not really fully remembering how I felt about it. I described A Nightmare on Elm Street earlier being a perfect movie, being one of my all-time favorite movies. A Nightmare on Elm Street 3 is a perfect sequel. We're introduced to Kristen, who is played by Patricia Arquette. She's having these nightmares about Freddy, specifically regarding Freddy's house. Or, well, I say Freddy's house, it's really Nancy's house that just kind of becomes the Freddy house. It's whatever. After one of these nightmares, she wakes up with a razor blade in her hand, cutting herself, and her mom walks in and says, "Oh, bitch, I'm trying to suck dick. This is too much."
God damn it, Kristen, you ruin everything. Every time I bring a man home, you spoil it.
so she's sent off to a psych ward. Nancy comes back into the series and we're introduced to these other kids who have also had nightmares about Freddy Krueger. Despite how much they try to explain to the staff, no one really tends to believe them, especially in an environment where it's so easy to assume that the reason why these deaths are occurring are due to suicide. Freddy intentionally staging these deaths to make it seem as if that's the case. I don't know what I'd really make of the TV girl's death if I saw that in real life, but Nancy actually knows what's going on, so she shows them how to be dream warriors. They learn how to use these powers within their dreams, my favorite one specifically being Terran's.
In my dreams, I'm beautiful and bad.
One of the best aspects of this movie is the camaraderie between the characters that we meet in this. I think these are the most likable characters in the series and some of the most likable characters within any horror movie that I've seen. It's such a breath of fresh air from like the cop-out, I'll make the character bad so that the fans will cheer when they die trope. When people are killed off, you genuinely feel awful for them because of the position that they're in, especially when not everyone there arrived due to Freddy issues, unlike Kristen. The way Freddy kills off people in this movie in particular is just so mean. Not only is the way he kills people within this so brutal, but he does it in a way where he also makes sure to break their spirit. However, that aspect leads to a more comical Freddy, which makes this movie so much more fun. That really is the one word to describe this movie. The visuals, the kills, Robert Englund's performance, from how disconnected part 2 feels from the original, with part 3 you can tell that they took real initiative to try to find a way to bring fans of the original back, while also creating something brand new with the character. With the whole point of Freddy being someone who invades your dreams, it leaves a lot of room for creativity, which Chuck Russell definitely understood and was absolutely the best person to get for this. You'll probably know him from being the director of The Mask. He's also known for his version of The Blob, which I actually watched around Halloween last year, and it was amazing. I absolutely love Dream Warriors. This is by far one of the most entertaining entries in the series. Part 4 continues on from the Dream Warrior story. We see Kristen suspecting that Freddy might possibly be back. She pulls the Dream Warriors into one of her dreams and it leads to nothing. This seems to have happened multiple times at this point and they're a bit over it. No, I'd be definitely over it if anyone pulled me into their own fucking dream over some bullshit, let alone my dog too. However, they're now in public school, which leads to us meeting our new main character, Alice.
You know, you are one major league hunk.
We're also introduced to some of Alice's friends as well as her brother, which then leads to Kincaid's dog peeing in a dream, which apparently Freddy's buried and that's how Freddy comes back to life. I'm not making that shit up. Like that actually happens in the movie. Very quickly, right after the Dream Warriors die. Boo. And I mean like fucking all of them do. Like very quickly too. At least they all kind of have fun, eventful deaths. The waterbed death is so brutal, even though I don't even know how that would fucking work. After Kristen gets boiled to death, she passes her powers down to Alice, and now it's up to Alice to take down Freddy Krueger. This movie's pretty fun at times. It's definitely leading into a more comical Freddy, which at times in this movie is great and very fun and entertaining, while at other times it just kind of becomes overbearing. I think the brother does karate or like whatever sort of martial arts in this movie. In his dream, he fights Freddy Krueger, but Freddy Krueger's invisible. It's kind of lame. Dream Master's kind of a mess. A very entertaining mess. There's a lot of memorable Freddy moments in this, and I do like the new characters that we are introduced to. However, when you know that the Dream Warriors were starting off in this movie, and knowing where they came from and comparing it to the new group of people that we now have to follow, it just doesn't hold up as well. Some of the best special effects within the series are definitely in this movie. That set piece in the final fight alone is just so goddamn gorgeous. I feel like I love a lot of aspects of this, but also a lot of it just doesn't necessarily work for me. And honestly, after thinking about it some more, I feel like I'm kind of souring more on this movie. However, I think it's still alright.
So let's blow this pop stand.
The story continues on from the Dream Master. The movie starts off with Alice having a dream about being a nun at a psych ward in the middle of multiple, in fact, 100 psychiatric patients. In the dream, she's left alone with all of them going unnoticed, and then they die. We then see Alice along with her boyfriend from the last movie, who I didn't really talk about, graduate high school. And then we're introduced to other new friends that she's made, and you don't remember them. I think one complains, one gets food stuffed in their mouth, and it's fucking awesome, and the other is a comic book guy. We then see Alice have another dream where she witnesses the woman that I believe she was supposed to be within the psychiatric ward give birth to ugly demon baby. Freddy's returned. He's back, and he's after Alice's unborn child. And Freddy's mom, who's introduced in the third movie, returns, and fucking she's the only one who can stop him, apparently. After all this time, I really try to like this one. There is genuinely stuff that I consider to be great in this. The more gothic visuals are just so interesting. Some of the kills are great too. I just genuinely do not care for this fucking story at all. There's literally one point where the comic book guy brings up, hey, you know, maybe if you get an abortion, that this would all stop. You ever considered getting an abortion? Also because you're just graduating fucking high school too. You ever considered? And then she goes, oh, this is part of me and Dad.
That's ignorant.
Bitch, a fucking dream entity is manifesting in your baby. This is not the fucking time for sentimentality shit. I mean, I can kind of see something interesting with her wanting to keep her baby despite the fucking Freddy gonna Freddy it.
School's out, cougar.
But like, honestly, one of the biggest problems of part 4 is the transition to Alice being the main character, which, like, she's fine as it in that movie, but that movie starts off with, like, one of the best leads throughout the entire series, and they just get killed off, and then Alice just kind of becomes the new lead, and I don't really care to see any more stories with her. She's not nearly as interesting as Nancy or Kristen, kind of can get a little annoying at times, especially in this fucking movie. Holy shit, I don't think I like anybody in this. Even Freddy can be obnoxious in this at times. They go more comical, and sometimes it works, and other times it's super Freddy. He definitely does still have great moments in this, though.
Bon appetit!
Overall, not a big fan of this vaguely anti-abortion movie. And now we're on to Freddy's Dead, the final nightmare, and after I took a shit on Freddy's baby, I must think that this has gone too far. This is awful. How could they do this to Freddy Krueger? I have something really fucking... I don't think people are gonna like this. Not that I think it's competent at all. I fucking love Freddy's Dead. It's so unapologetically stupid. At this point in the series, they have been trying to make Freddy more comedic as the movies go on, which in the last one I said at times was obnoxious. Freddy is a full-on Looney Tune in this. We start off with learning that all of the kids in Springwood have either left, died from Freddy, or killed themselves. There are no children in Springwood anymore, and all the adults are weird.
Oh, what beautiful, adorable children! Would you like to come and live with us? It's been so long since we've had children in the house.
We then move on to this guy on a plane who gets called a pussy. Which leads to this actually pretty fun, elaborate sequence with this house falling down, Freddy's the witch. Fans aren't really too fond of this moment, but for me personally, it's funny. He then hits his head on a rock and gets amnesia and goes to a psych ward, which a lot of psych wards in this. We're introduced to this video game stoner guy and this girl who likes to yell and be angry, and this deaf guy. There is a pipe bomb that the comic book dude made, and it's like a minor inconvenience. Like, it's not like treated as a big deal. I don't know, maybe like that's why they all try to run away. I don't fucking know. I don't know what's happening. None of the character shit matters. I mean, mean, the main character turns out to be Freddy's daughter or whatever, but like, oh my, I don't know what the fuck is happening in this half of the time. You watch this movie because Freddy does the dumbest shit possible. Everyone's performance in this is awful. It's so fucking weird. Everyone just talks so bizarrely. I watched some of the special features on this, and the director who made this said that she was inspired by Twin Peaks. Her inspiration by Twin Peaks and John Waters is actually why the people behave in this movie the way they do, which is such an odd choice for your Freddy movie. She puts 3D glasses on and then waves her hand in her face as if her hand isn't like actually there in front of her face. What would that do? What would that fucking do? Apparently they handed out 3D glasses for this and said that whenever she puts hers on, you gotta put yours on. And then there was a whole 3D sequence in the theater. The movie's kind of ugly though. I'd imagine I wouldn't want to see this in 3D. Those awful CGI little creatures things, I like them. I like the dream people, or so they're called. All they do is just roam around and laugh. Of all the things to reveal why Freddy, like, became the fucking dream people, I feel like if you go into Freddy's Dead knowing that it's gonna be awful, you can definitely have a bit of fun with it. And that was supposed to be the final Nightmare on Elm Street. I look at this and think it's fucking a great so bad it's good movie now. We then move on to Wes Craven's New Nightmare, which is Wes Craven dipping his toes into meta horror before he made Scream. This actually follows the actors from the original movie. Our main character is Heather Langenkamp playing herself. You get to see Robert Englund just be Robert Englund. This movie is about a real demon who has taken the form of Freddy Krueger and is actively terrorizing people who were involved with the original Nightmare on Elm Street. That's the basic premise of it, which is genuinely such a great idea. It's just such a shame that I'm not a fan. I think there are a lot of people who definitely do love this movie, and I can completely understand that. This is such a unique idea, and definitely something that must have been refreshing for Nightmare on Elm Street fans at the time. Reintroducing a more scarier Freddy.
Pick a pet. What a rough rat, bitch.
Even though it's not exactly Freddy Krueger, I feel like this is really great as a concept. It's just that the execution in this, to me, is just... I don't really like that this demon takes form because Wes Craven just happens to be writing the script for this movie. Like, he's writing the actual events that have already happened before this reveal, and now the script is coming to life, and it's just... meh. I feel like the mystery of what could possibly be happening is so interesting, and they just completely spoil it. The second it's revealed, I feel like any bit of tension that the movie has is just kind of sucked away for me. There's some great references and kills, and I do get excited whenever I see someone from the original in this. A lot of people do absolutely love this movie, and I can understand the appeal. It's just something that's underwhelming for me. We then move on to Freddy vs. Jason. I'm a huge Jason Voorhees fan. I'm a huge Freddy Krueger fan. Horror fans had been wanting a Freddy vs. Jason movie for quite some time, and I believe like years before this came out, in Jason Goes to Hell specifically, they have Freddy's glove come out and pull down Jason's mask. That was teased in 1993. This came out a decade later. Freddy Krueger is trying to kill kids in Springwood again. They have suppressed his name and tried to make everyone completely forget about him.
It's gotta be him, right? It's gotta be Freddy Krueger. Hey, don't even say that son of a bitch's name out loud.
Even sending two teenagers who had dreams about Freddy Krueger off to a psych ward, which again, a lot with the psych ward shit, in order to keep everyone else in town safe. So Freddy finds Jason and convinces him to go kill kids for him within town, so that rumors can spread and people can automatically assume that this is Freddy Krueger's doing. Things are going well, Jason's killing people. Freddy's getting his name recognized, and then during a scene where a girl is about to get sexually assaulted by a glow stick man, Jason accidentally takes one of Freddy's kills. In the middle of this, the main group of teens realizes that something weird is definitely going on, and so they make an effort to try to stop both Freddy and Jason while they're in the middle of a fucking fight. This movie is ridiculous. The concept is ridiculous. There's this one scene with Kelly Rowland and Freddy that is just so bizarre.
How sweet. Dark meat.
Tell me something. What kind of runs around in a Christmas sweater?
Johnny Yu, who made this, was very inspired by Hong Kong cinema, which... It's so funny seeing these icons of the 80s being put in this very 2000s fucking new metal. At the time this came out, I could see people being pretty upset with that, but as this has aged, it gives it a real sense of charm that I believe people have fallen in love with this movie for. I can definitely enjoy it for its ridiculousness. The performances in this are absolutely insane.
1, 2, Freddy's coming for you. You know why they sing that? Because that's when he comes for you.
There's a little bit of a campy, kinda so bad it's good aspect to it. I mean, Freddy Krueger's a fucking weed worm. You do get your money's worth, though. They show a lot of Freddy and Jason just beating the ever-living shit out of each other. Overall, though, Freddy vs. Jason is a really good time, and I definitely recommend it. Honestly, if you haven't seen any of the Nightmare on Elm Streets or any of the Friday the 13th, I believe Freddy vs. Jason is kind of a good gateway movie to possibly get you engaged in them.
I'm just such a small fat.
Motherfucker!
And... oh my god. And last and abso-fucking-lutely least, we have the Nightmare on Elm Street remake. Before I watched this, I was familiar with the Michael Bay Friday the 13th remake. I literally only watched it just so I can claim that I have seen every movie with Jason in it. Same reason why I watched the Nightmare remake for this video. It is genuinely one of the most soulless things that I believe I've seen be put on screen. It is one of the absolute worst movies. There are people who genuinely find positives out of this. Like, I get, like, the gore is kind of good. What else? What the fuck else does this movie offer? They try to do the thing where it's like, oh, all the Friday movies have tits and weed, whatever, and we're just gonna make everyone fucking obnoxious as fuck in the most 2010 way possible, or whatever that movie came out. I think this came out in 2010. It came out it should have never come out. Alas, Michael Bay and Universal Pictures needed money, so we can't really control the fate of that. I have a list of, in my opinion, the worst movies I've ever seen, and Friday the 13th is the last entry before, like, all the offensive and insensitive shit that I've seen. I feel like I tricked myself a little bit. I always do want to give any movie a chance, no matter what I expect out of it. The opening to this movie is actually alright, and I didn't really expect to enjoy anything. But then as soon as what we thought was supposed to be the main character just boringly dies, you know that this movie's just gonna take a turn for the worst. This becomes a total slog. Every character in this is not interesting at all. They try to do a darker take on the original movie, and I believe by darker, they took that as unimaginative. Freddy is so fucking boring in this. There was a Red Letter Media video I was watching a while ago, which was about Kyle Gallner, who is in this. The movies he has done are absolutely great now. I'm glad that he's definitely took a step up from this. Jay tells a story about being a stand-in on the Nightmare on Elm Street set, specifically for Kyle Gallner, and when he met Jackie Earle Haley, who plays Freddy in this, Jackie Earle Haley had claimed to never have seen a Nightmare on Elm Street movie, and when he did, he thought it was awful. And I think that just really explains everything that you need to know about this remake. One of the most notably awful parts in this is a scene where the main character girl, or the new main character girl, finds out that she was molested by Freddy, and then afterwards she makes out with Kyle Gallner. Fuck. This was done by a group of people who did not understand what made Nightmare on Elm Street work, as well as they did not give a single fuck about it. These people knew that they can make profit off of the name, and they just really went from there. In Freddy's Dead, they made Freddy look ugly as fuck, and it's kind of funny, but in this, it's just so blah. And that is the end of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. I am sorry that it ended so negatively, but I mean, if you're a fan of these, you knew it was going to anyway. Either way, I think I had a very enjoyable experience with this overall. I love visiting new franchises and seeing how they develop over time. While not every Nightmare on Elm Street is necessarily the best, it always goes in a direction that is able to keep your interest. I believe there was not a time during this where I really dreaded having to watch anything. Now I'm gonna give a ranking of these movies. I'm gonna put it on Letterboxd. Follow me on Letterboxd if you haven't already. At number 9, we're obviously gonna have the remake. This garbage, derivative, horrible, fucking soulless garbage. Number 8, we have The Dream Child, which is boring and lame as fuck, but at least it has character to it. This one's gonna make people pretty upset. Wes Craven's New Nightmare is at number 7. At number 6, we have Part 4, The Dream Master. Oh, man. Oh, no, people are not gonna fucking like this. Number 5, Freddy's Dead, The Final Nightmare. At number 4, we have Part 2, Freddy's Revenge, and not gonna lie, I'm probably gonna have to rewatch Freddy's Dead and Part 2 to see which one I like more than the other. Part 2 is above Freddy's Dead for now because it's more of a competent movie. At number 3, we have Freddy vs. Jason. As ridiculous as it is, it's one of the most fun fucking movies to watch Freddy Krueger in. Number 2, we have The Dream Warriors Perfect sequel. Probably gonna rewatch this too because I believe it might become one of my all-time favorite movies. And at number 1, we have the original, which doesn't surprise me. The original Nightmare on Elm Street is something very special to me. Freddy Krueger as a character is very special to me. Alrighty, y'all. I think that's gonna actually be the end of this video. This is probably gonna be the longest video that I've ever fucking made. I've honestly never been more proud recording something, and I genuinely do hope this comes out good, and that you enjoy it, and that you finish this enjoying it, having to look at me, having to look at my fucking double chin and neck beard. I look like a chud right now, and my hair makes me look gay. I'm sorry. Anyways, happy Halloween, everyone, and I'll be able to make more stuff like this in the future.
Welcome to prime time, bitch!